Hi there, my name is Chad Palmer. I want to talk about some of the psychological effects of passive brain-machine interfaces. I've covered, so a lot of the different possibilities with the technology, but this part is real, and I can prove it with my own outcomes from this kind of stuff. There's a paper that I've been reading off of called neural operant conditioning. It has to do with rewards for using a passive or a brain-machine interface, and it's pretty relevant. I'd suggest looking that up. Let's see. So this is how it works. So you have a stimulus. Might remind you of a bad experience. How does it know that bad experience? Data set from their past. Could be all collected information. And we've all heard about the NSA and Booz Allen Hamilton and these guys have collected so much data for so long. It's out there. So bad experiences, maybe good, let's just go with all the bad stuff. Bad experiences or, perceived enemies, situations that didn't work out, situational failure, etc. Just all this stimulus coming to you. And from that, you have what we were talking about, what I talked about in the last video with the evoked potential, which is just it's a reading. Sometimes I think about that kind of stuff in terms of like a timeline, how it could be recorded as like in a timeline, like you see in like video editing, where you have these different inputs. You have the overall input towards the end. You have these different segments. So the segments could be individualized, could be stimulus pieces. It's going to make up the overall situation at some point. So bad experience, you're going to have an evoked potential from that. It's measured. As these segments are noisy and need work, they might get played back. But so much, that part could get really complicated. It could be used many different ways. I'm sure it's evolving as we speak. But this is the part that seems to be really not really understood too well, is the fact that the stimulus takes place and you have an evoked potential. Well, that evoked potential feeds back so fast as a voice. So in essence, you're hearing voices. We know what they say about that. You could be schizophrenic, you might be having a psychosis or something like that. But voices just do not seem to go very well with the medical community. I've been through this with University of Utah, Intermountain. Right now I'm working with my therapist and the psychiatrist. And as soon as you talk about that, they want to know, are you taking your medication? you know, and it's like, this is not medication related. Medication doesn't affect this that much. You know, it just does not. So this is technology. And to find out what it is, if you've got something in your head, you got nanostructures in your brain or your spine, medical community can't seem to get to the bottom of it very quick. Or, you know, you have to go to such a super specialist to get it figured out, that it doesn't, you're not able to get the answers. And for me, it's caused a lot of issues with my legal standing, because I ended up getting in some legal trouble, and I attribute some of it to this kind of feedback and this kind of technology. But they won't let it go. They won't sit and talk. They won't tell me exactly what it is. So it's really frustrating. It has to do with voices and perceived voices. They're perceived voices because they stay in your head. My psychiatrist right now tells me as long as it stays in your head, it's not psychotic. It's not schizophrenia. So, at least I'm getting somewhere with that. They're perceived voices. But so you'll receive a stimulus of a bad experience in a language that you can understand, that is relevant to you. Maybe you had an experience with your parents where they told you that you couldn't be friends with Betty Sue anymore. And you get this when you're thinking about your relationships, you might receive a signal that says Betty Sue. That'll evoke potential that's noisy, messy. Betty Sue brings back bad memories. So, instead of hearing this long, drawn-out situation that took place with Betty Sue, you'll just receive the stimulus, Betty Sue. And from there, you'll fill in the blanks. It's efficient. That's all you gotta hear, Betty Sue. And then you'll be thinking about this big old blown up situation where your parents wouldn't let you be friends with her because she was being a bad influence, or all this long drawn out stuff is made efficient with just that message, Betty Sue. I hear this kind of stuff, you know, gingerbread house, and you know, other ones that are kind of too embarrassing to talk about and a little too graphic at times, which will remind me of the experiences that I had that weren't the best experiences. They'll remind me of people that I'm not allowed to talk to, stuff like that. It's just, you're gonna have readouts from that kind of stuff if you have this brain-machine interface connectivity. You'll sit and have to mill through it. It'll be that form of like neural operant conditioning that you'll be going through this data set of past issues. So it's that simple. You have a thought, processes. Sometimes they talk about like synthetic telepathy, but this is communicating with like an artificial intelligence computing system. It's not always a person on the other end. Now I know that it will work to where you'll communicate with it, and then once you achieve certain results, or if you're thinking clearly, you'll be in contact with someone else. I mean, I know that's the future of it. But back to this, the psychological effects of this kind of stuff and the conditioning end of it. All that's required is intervention on your neuronal activity. Neuronal activity, 1. Silent neurofeedback. Silent neurofeedback and silent communications. I've seen stuff about bone conduction, peripheral nerve, stuff that have to do with the larynx. But bone conduction, it kind of, I've seen stuff where there's a tooth involved. If that tooth is communicating, if that's part of the scenario, and you're able to get the neuronal activity, the silent neurofeedback, where you hear it as a voice, and you're able to communicate silently to this machine and to this other potential person or potential group of people, that's all that it is. It's really not that complicated. And if you look at a secure network or ultrasonic connectivity, you're in. Ultrasonic connectivity will sit there and it will literally create this network. It will create the network for you wirelessly. And you can see that with like interbody, I think it's like intrabody sensor networks or something like that, where, the information's out there. But with being able to read the neuronal activity, have the silent neurofeedback, which comes in a voice, or it might come as like a different feeling too. Feeling of dizziness or something like that. You might feel a little dizzy. And then the silent communications, where you can communicate to it, you've got it. 3-part. With that, you can sit there and go through all these issues that you have in your past, as long as all that information has been collected. You just sit there and deal with it. It's pretty interesting. That's really all for now. Thank you.